Hey everybody, it is Sarah Ayler and Kristen Fagan and sweet Elena. Is it Zuyok?
Zuyok, yes.
Oh, I was so close. Here from Mirrix Looms and Softflex Company, we're going to be doing a live beading party today. If you've joined us for one of these before, it's a lot of fun. It's an opportunity for us to collaborate with another company in our industry, usually a company that we love like Mirrix Looms, and just give you a little insight into their company. Elena has a couple of beading projects she's going to show us today with loom weaving on her Mirrix Looms and using Softflex even. And it is going to be a great day. So thanks for being here with us today, Elena.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really fun.
It's great to see you. So tell us a little bit about Mirrix Looms. How did you get started? How long have you guys been in business? And, what's the skinny?
So this company was actually started by my mom, Claudia Chase, 25 years ago, I think. I'm losing track. I was much younger than I am now. She was a professional tapestry weaver, and she was looking for a portable tapestry weaving loom, so not beads, that she could travel with and that she could bring. She had two small kids at the time, and I was in, all the sports and gymnastics and all this stuff, and she wanted to be able to sit on the sidelines of a soccer game and weave. But she wanted a loom that was professional quality, so she needed really good tension. And she just wasn't finding what she wanted. And so she designed with a friend this loom kind of for herself, and ended up starting a company and realizing that other weavers really liked this loom. And then she was in business, I think only a couple of years, and a friend of hers who did both bead weaving and fiber weaving said, this would be the perfect bead loom. And she hadn't really used beads before. And she started bead weaving and using this loom to bead, and just was like, oh my, this is amazing. This is so much fun. I love bead weaving. I love this loom for bead weaving. And so it became Mirrix Tapestry and Bead Looms, not just Mirrix Tapestry Looms. So it's really unique in that I don't think there are a whole lot of looms out there, or any other looms out there, that really cater to both the bead weaving and the tapestry weaving communities. And it just so happens that they're kind of perfect for both of those mediums. Mm-hmm. And then I was never interested in joining the family company until I was an adult, and it just sort of happened. I was
organically.
Well, I was working in sales for this company, and I hated my job. And I was talking to another salesperson, and he said, I was telling him about my mom's company, and I was like, it is so amazing. She does such amazing stuff. This is just the best. And he looked at me and he said, so why don't you work with her? I don't know. I have no idea. My mom, and I was like, would you be interested in working together? And she was like, oh my God, I've been waiting your whole life for you to say that.
She just needed you to come to that, realization on your own.
Yeah, you don't want to pressure. I always think that with the girls, like, I'm so hopeful my girls will someday want to launch into beading with me, but I'm always like, I want to be careful that they follow their own journey to that spot if they want to be there, But yeah, I would have the same reaction if my daughters later on were like, I was wondering if I could work at Softflex. I'd be like, yes, that's awesome.
Way to do it, because I think if she had ever pressured me, this is the family business.
Right.
I think I would have been like, nope. I don't want to do that. And it turns out, I think family businesses maybe can be, who knows how well you work with family, right? And we just work so well together, and now it's been, I don't know, how old am I? 36.
A lot of years.
Most of my working life, I've been working with her, and it gets better every year. So,
That's great. And you telecommute because you don't live in the same place, right?
yeah. So she lives in New Hampshire. I live in Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
Washington. Yeah. So we've been doing this work from home thing before it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Me too.
us too. Yeah.
We know all the tricks. Everybody else was catching up this last year. And then our manufacturing facility is actually located in Wisconsin, which is where we were living when Mirrix was started all those years ago. So we joke that Mirrix is north in America.
And these are made in the USA. Is that right?
Yes, they are 100% made in the USA in our Wisconsin facility.
Very nice. So when you were growing up, did she have like those big tapestry looms? Would she like do like big, huge projects before she went micro size?
Yeah, she did. I mean, until I think she sold her last big loom a few years ago. But yeah, we had this big living room with vaulted ceilings in our house, and there was a couch and then just looms. I thought that was just normal.
Right.
They come over and they were like, "What is that?" A loom don't your parents have?
Don't you have looms?
Doesn't everyone have looms? I think she bought that house for that space so she could fit
all of her looms. Yeah, I had a girlfriend when I was in elementary school, and her mom had one of those big looms, and I was just so impressed by it. And it was in their living room, and it filled up most of their living room. But I remember just being so impressed when I would come by and I would see, the little bit that she had added each time to her piece. It was really neat. Really, really neat. So it's fun that you guys took it down to a size that applies to the rest of us, though, that can't fit 3 looms in their living room.
Yeah, I think she realized unless you're very into weaving or a professional, a portable loom really makes a lot of sense. And
I think so too.
Being able to store it and bring it places. And it also, before things in the airline industry, it got more difficult to bring things like looms on airplanes. She would bring looms on carry-on. Like, I think the first loom, she was trying to design that it would fit in an airplane tray.
So yeah.
It was actually really embarrassing. When you're like a little kid and your mom is always like doing something weird, and you're like, couldn't you just
sit and
not
be
do that?
Yeah. And then, your soccer coach would come over to you after the game and be like, "So, what's your mom doing? I'm really interested." And you're like, "Oh,
she has to loom everywhere she goes."
Have loom, will travel.
Yeah. And now she has enabled so many other weavers to do the same thing. So
Right,
I'm children of weavers who are
she
married.
created a community of weavers that are taking them everywhere.
Well, Kristen, I was telling you, I think you would really like these looms. I feel like this is another step in your journey of making art in like every single way.
Every medium. Every way possible. Totally. No, I was just telling Elena, I was on the Mirrix Looms website, what is the website address? Because I Googled it, but if you want to share it with everybody.
Yeah, it's www.mirrixlooms.com. So MIRRIXLOOMS.
Awesome. So I was on there before checking out what they had and their starter kits, and they have all sorts of different kits. I actually just did a glance over, but I went, I probably have to spend a little more time here to figure out what kind of kit I would really like to begin with, because there was some tapestry ones, and I'm sure there's some beading ones, some that can do both.
Can you give us an overview of the different sizes of looms? Because you have a couple different sizes, right? I mean, I know you can't show them to us, but just maybe explain.
Yeah, so our smallest loom, well, we actually have a brand new loom that we launched last year. And this is still the smallest. This is the 5-inch mini Mirrix.
Yeah, that's what I have, I think.
This was designed yep, that's the 5-inch. This was designed just as a bead loom. Although people started doing tapestry on it. So all of our looms, really, you can do both. So that's the smallest one. It's only 5 inches wide. So the names of the loom, the width is the width of the actual loom. And then we have an 8-inch loom, which is actually this one. And then
that one has a kickstand, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can sit up. So when you're doing it, it's a little easier on your body,
It's so nice. It's so nice being able, you can switch back and forth for the smaller looms. You can put it in your lap or on a table, or you can put the little leg out. And then all the larger looms have 2 legs, actually. So they're meant to be used on a table. And we also have a stand. You can do that. So then we have a 12-inch, 16-inch, 22-inch, 28-inch, 32-inch, and the Zeus loom is 38 inches wide.
Wow. So when you say you go by the width, does that mean that you can go up to that size in what you're weaving, or is it maybe like an inch below or something like that?
Yeah, it's not quite the full width. So if you look at the loom, kind of where we measure from the bottom beam, so you can weave within
there. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a little bit less than the actual weaving width. And then as far as length, so there are different ways that you can warp a Mirrix loom depending if you're doing bead weaving or if you're doing something like soft flex. We have this kit that I'll talk about later, which is a different way of warping. But most our kind of regular warping way is called continuous warping. And what that means is that you can set the loom a certain height, so they're all adjustable. And then you can actually move your warp to the back of the loom as you weave. So you can weave a piece.
So it can go completely around. Yeah. Okay.
You can weave a piece that's, almost twice as long as the actual height of your loom. And you can also, and this is more important on the bigger looms, but sometimes it's uncomfortable if you have a loom like this and you're weaving towards the top a long piece. You can rotate it down as you weave. You're always weaving at a comfortable height.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at one of the projects. Do you want to do the table project first, Elena?
Yeah, let's do that one. And I forgot to say, the new loom that we have, I didn't mention. We have a new loom called the Saffron Pocket Loom, which is a very small, kind of slightly differently designed loom with only one beam. But that's more of a tapestry loom than a bead loom.
Okay.
You can do both.
So I did see like some little keychains and stuff kind of idea. Would that be something that pocket loom would be able to do?
If it's tapestry, anything really, really small. That one has combs on each side. So the spacing is set.
Oh, I gotcha.
Our other looms, you can actually replace coil at the top and sometimes the bottom of the loom. And that allows you to make your warp spaced perfectly depending on the different sizes of beads you're using or the thickness of yarn that you're using.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, so that's kind of why that loom is more for tapestry, because the spacing might not be perfect for different types of beads. But yeah, so this project here, this is a wrap bracelet done on a mini Mirrix, and it's a leather warp, and then we use soft flex to string the beads. The idea is actually there's a bracelet kit that we just launched called the Holly bracelet, which is this, and this is done with Ceylon microcord. And I was looking at it and I was thinking this would be a really fun project to try with soft flex to give it kind of a industrialer look. And I wasn't sure how to do it because of the crimp beads, I wasn't sure exactly how we would start it. But I kind of worked the crimp beads into the piece. And I'm really having fun and loving how easy it is to use the soft flex. I don't need a needle.
Which diameter are you using?
This is the very fine.
Great.
Yeah.
And how did you work the crimp in? How did you start the design? Can you show us the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see if we can see this. So if you can see right there. So I basically just used the crimp bead as if it were
a regular bead in between there. I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sticking out in a weird way, so it would scratch your wrist or anything like that. And I think it looks kind of cute, especially because the way, I don't know how much you can see this here. The way I use the silver soft flex, it has that kind of that look with the silver.
Yeah, I love also, I'm curious because whenever I weave in a similar pattern to this, I usually take 2 wires and I'm going in and out. How do you explain it? Each wire is going in one direction and in the other, and they pass each other through the bead. And I see you're doing a single pass. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or is it going through the bead twice?
No, I'm just going, well, yes. It is going through it. It is going through it twice, but just with one
wire. It's a different way of doing it. So I'm excited to kind of take a look at that and see how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just using the kind of traditional method of bead weaving, but just one bead up. And the way to start this is really, really simple, just before I get into the bead weaving. So you just take a piece of, get my hands under there, of leather and actually string the button or whatever your clasp is going to be onto the leather. So you can see I did that here. And then figure out exactly how long you want your piece to be. So I think this is going to be 3 wraps on my wrist, but it will depend on how big your wrist is and how loose you want the bracelet to be. And then I just tied a knot at that end spot and then another knot to make a little space for the button to go through. And then I made the loom smaller. So all of our looms adjust using these wing nuts. So you can move it down and you can move it up. And then once a piece is actually on the loom, you can use the wing nuts to adjust the tension. So you put the bracelet on the loom and then adjust the tension to really tighten it up to make it easy to weave the beads on there.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then as I weave, and again, this is such a simple piece. I would just loosen the tension a little bit and rotate the piece around the loom. So where I am weaving the beads is right in front of me. So yeah, so this is, I mean, it's very easy. I did a lot of this because I didn't want to bore everybody with doing the same thing again and again and again and again. But basically, you just take, these are stone beads. They're super pretty. I'm obsessed with them right now. String it on, and then you place your bead and your thread behind and between the 2 warp threads, which here are our pieces of leather. And then you just sew right back through. And that's it. Super, super, super simple.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
That's great. I was just trying to share the video with your Mirrix Facebook group. So anybody that's interested out there, if you're not already a part of the Mirrix Facebook group, You can search for that in your group section on Facebook if you use Facebook, and it should pop up and you can join their group to get more great tutorials for using the Mirrix looms. And then I assume a lot of your members probably post designs that they're working on and making as well.
Yeah, that group is so amazing. Just like, I love waking up in the morning and scrolling through and just looking at all the fun things people are doing and sharing. And it's just, yeah, I mean, I love that kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys do too.
I just love the Facebook groups, especially during the pandemic. I feel like I found my people. Like, I can go to a group with a specific thing, you know, and learn from others and share my information with others, whether it be beading or I have a Cricut. So I'm a part of some Cricut groups, and I'll go see what people are making and get ideas. And it's just so neat to be able to have that opportunity to connect.
When you first said that, I thought you meant you had a pet cricket. I was like, wow, there's a Facebook.
What are people doing with their crickets these days?
No, the paper cutter or vinyl cutter. I just got one for Christmas, so I'm still learning how to use it. So it's helpful to see what other people are doing. Otherwise, it will just sit there for the rest of my life.
Yes. Inspiration is always important, right? It's always nice to be able to see how other people are using similar materials and tackling different projects to help kind of just spur those ideas in you. You know, it makes all the difference, I think, when you kind of seek some of that stuff out to really be able to use your materials well.
Absolutely.
Then if you were using a thread, you would have to use a needle. Is that right?
Yes. And that's one of the things I really love about this, partially because I have a 6-month-old. And so I'm constantly stopping and starting projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I lose needles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, moving something from here to there, and I'm like, oh no, there's a needle somewhere on the floor and a baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. It's really nice with the soft flex that you can just.
The other hazard I've heard with needles is about cats. I guess cats start to play with threads, and if there's a needle on it, sometimes they'll swallow the needle on accident. I've heard of at least 4 cats that have swallowed needles, and one of my coworkers had it happen, and it's you have to be really careful having those around, because if you have a cat, especially, because string is so fun for them, and beads are like kind of fun too. So they don't realize what they're doing till it's a problem.
Yeah. I don't have a cat right now, but I used to have to put my looms away when I did, because she would bite the warp threads. And she would like gnaw on them. It was
so nice of you to leave this here for me.
Not helpful.
It's so hard to keep something away from a cat. You can't put it up high. They'll
figure out how to get there too.
Yeah, they know how to get to it. That's so true.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm going to flip over to my camera and show something that I've been working on. And maybe you can keep moving on that if you want to get a little further along. And
we'll come back and look.
Yeah. Let me do full camera here. So I have a couple things I wanted to mention while I've got everyone's attention. I'm going to be on Designing with the Stars with Beads of Courage. It is something they're doing multiple times this year in order to raise money for their nonprofit. Beads of Courage, if you're not familiar with them, is an organization that does arts in medicine for children who are very ill. And so it's important as a community that we support them. And so they've come up with this neat thing called Designing with the Stars, where 3 or 4 designers come up with a design. This is mine. And we send kits for free to Beads of Courage. And then you buy a space and you get the kits to make the designs with us on Zoom. And so I will be doing that, not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after. in the afternoon. And so I wanted to invite you. There's still some spaces available. We're going to be doing a cute little stretch magic bracelet. Jesse James Beads was kind enough to give me some beads for my kit, and then Softflex included the wonderful stretch magic. So I hope you'll join me for that. I think also Danielle Wicks is with me, and there's a few other designers.
So where do they go to get the kit? Would they go directly to Beads of Courage?
Beadsofcourage.org.
Okay.
Yeah, beadsofcourage.org. Look for Designing with the Stars. You buy a ticket, basically, and then that gets you into the Zoom. And if you do it soon, you'll get your kits in time to make your jewelry with the stars. If you wait too long, then you'll have to replay it and make your jewelry after.
So they buy a ticket and they'll get the kit for the couple of people that are doing that.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and that's how Beads of Courage raises money, because we've donated the kits and our time, and all of the money will go directly to Beads of Courage to help them with their work. So
yeah. So if you guys do not know what Beads of Courage is, I definitely say check them out. They are a wonderful organization, and if you can help support them and grab some kits, that would be fantastic too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so when I knew I was going to see Elena today, I decided to pull out one of my Mirrix Looms. I have two. I have this smaller one that she showed at first, and then I have the one with the kickstand. And I was doing some really interesting stuff a few years ago before I left Arizona. I was doing a lot of bead weaving, and I was doing it in some different ways than Elena has done. I was working on doing I think these are called the warp threads, right, Elena, that go up and down?
Yep.
I was doing the warp threads in Softflex, in a thick Softflex, and then I was doing some thread going back and forth, or sometimes our 010 soft touch. Sometimes it would be entirely Softflex. But this was an earring that I had made. I think it went into a magazine as a project, and I had this left over on my loom, and thought I would show it to you since I already had it here. And basically, I just took a thick piece of Softflex. I would say this is even 024, and I attached it onto my bead stopper, and I ran it through the S hook that I think came with my loom.
Yes,
but I might have gotten a separate package for it. I can't remember.
That kit is the no warp ends kit, and that comes with that loom. But you can buy it separately with the larger looms.
Okay, great. And I ran it up to another S hook, back down to another S hook, and then up. And then I bead stoppered it again. And that gave me my warp threads that I could then thread my seed beads into using a thread. And I don't know if I have the earrings or bracelet that I made in the style finished. I know I have it somewhere, but I don't know that I have it here. So I wasn't able to find it. But I will look for a picture, because I'm sure I have a picture somewhere of the finished design, and I will post it after the live show. So one thing I was going to do today, because I'm interested in seeing if I could do the warp threads for a wrap bracelet the way that Elena just did, using Softflex instead of a leather or a pleather cord. And so I'm going to pop this off and pop back over to Elena, and I will see if I can figure it out here on my end and give you a little peek at that, if I can make it happen. You know, I like on the spot projects.
Yeah, this is great.
Can she do it? Can she not do it? We'll find out.
You would do great in some kind of beading competition.
I would.
Why is there not a potential for that?
I know. I would totally excel at that.
Yeah, it would take me like half the time just looking at everything, trying to figure out what to do, and Sarah she just jumps in. She just goes for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just freeze.
Oh boy.
I watch like cooking shows sometimes where they have competitions like that. And you have to make a decision on the fly. And I try to think, like, what would I do with those ingredients? I'm like, I don't know. I'm on the show and I'm panicking about it.
It's stressful to even think about it. Yeah. Yeah. I used to have some of my colleagues in the industry, I would have them send me a box of beading stuff, and I would open it not knowing what was inside of it and make something live. And it was my favorite. I loved it. It was so fun. I would still do it if I could fit it in my schedule. I just can't quite fit it in my schedule anymore.
Yeah, she threw me into one of those one time.
How did you do?
I did okay, but it wouldn't be anything that I would like.
It's not enjoyable.
Yeah, it wasn't something I loved. I did it to get it done, but I didn't feel like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
So fun.
I think you could get some really neat inspiration, even just doing it to yourself, like randomly picking out some beads and being like, okay, I have an hour to make something, kind of seeing where you're.
That's a great idea if you're feeling stuck or uninspired and you're just like not feeling anything. It's like just give yourself a little challenge like that to kind of get yourself out of your normal rut that you've been in,
Yeah.
Well, what we started doing is and Elena, you can show us the bigger loom in a minute too. We started doing these design kits that you can pick up on our website, and it's a different theme every month. And it's kind of like that for our customers. They don't know what they're going to get, and they don't have to design live. That's the tricky part. They do have to design something. And that kind of gives them that chance to try that out, which is
fun. Really fun.
How long do you do your leather to do like a double wrap, or are you doing a triple wrap?
I think this is a triple wrap. I don't remember how long let me check. Okay, so that's about 10 inches. So it's probably about 22 inches total. It's pretty loose on me though, but I have tiny wrists.
Well, show us your big loom and what you were doing on that. We would love to see that. Should I switch back to your hand camera?
Yeah. Let me just move this over and put this loom down. We can all see this. So I was actually kind of just wanted to show everybody the no warp ends kit, which is what you had on your loom, Sarah. So it was many years ago, I guess, when we first started using Softflex, and we were trying to figure out how to best use it on a loom. And the problem with using it as warp is that if you warp the regular way that you warp on a Mirrix loom, or really most looms, you have a lot of ends to finish, and that's kind of tough when you're using wire as warp. So the no warp ends kit was a kit that was developed to weave pieces where you only have 2 warp ends. So you have one that ties to one S hook here and one that ties to one S hook here. And the rest of the pieces actually made the exact length that you want that piece to be. So this was going to be a barrette eventually. So I made this the exact length that I want it. And when this pops off the loom, the S hooks actually, you take the S hooks out and there are just little loops that hold on to the beads, and you don't have to finish those ends at all.
Awesome. So for a newbie like me, so what you're saying, normally you would have a place you'd have to tie off on every single one of those warps on the ends. And this setup makes it so you just have closed loops.
Yeah, basically. So you don't have to tie off on our looms, but you would have to cut And then you would have to deal with each.
You'd have to end each particular section. Okay. Gotcha.
So, you know, if you had this many warp threads, you'd have to do a crimp bead or something on each end. And that's difficult when you're dealing with wire. This way, you don't have that problem at all. So we really love the no warp ends kit for weaving with wire. And one of the other fun things about it is that, so you can weave a piece any length depending on the size of your loom. And then you can keep, so if you were gonna weave, you know, bracelets for 3 friends or something like that, you can just keep the kit set up every time. And then warping is simply tying to an S hook, zigzagging back and forth, and then tying to the other one. So setup is really, really easy.
What kind of beads are you using there?
These are magnetomas.
And you could use a lot of different kinds of beads, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, basically anything. On all of our looms, like I was saying before, when you're using the regular way of warping, there's a little coil that you choose to put at the top and sometimes the bottom of your loom, and that will set how far apart your warp threads are. So for example, if you're using 11/0 delicas, then you will use a coil that has 18 warp threads an inch. And that works out to, you know, space correctly for delicas. With this kit, actually, because the S hooks are freely moving before tension is put on the loom, you can use really any size bead and the warp threads will kind of set themselves to be the correct spacing, which is fun.
It's pretty neat. I really like it. It looks really good.
It does. It looks really cool.
Let me see. Let's see if we can figure this out together. I am going to move over here. So I made my Mirrix Loom super small.
Yeah.
I assume that's what you have there, right? You took these little things, make it bigger or smaller.
Yep.
By just rolling them up.
Yep.
And so you can make it quite a big size like I had it before, or you can bring it down all the way to the bottom. And then it's a lot smaller. So that's the size I'm going to go with. And what I was thinking about doing, I took a big long piece of wire, medium wire. So our medium soft flex in the 49 strand. I'm using white, which is what I was using from the kit yesterday. And I just took it to the center with a toggle clasp. I have no idea if this is going to work, you guys, honestly.
I think it is. I think
I was thinking about putting a piece of fine wire in there, and then that'll be my warp thread. So I will just go ahead and crimp it right into the crimp here. And then I will have that wire attached. So I'm just going to string it into. I was using 010 yesterday. I would totally normally use 010. I just used so much of it on my project yesterday. I don't have any left here. So I'm going to try it with the 014 and just see what happens. You never know, right? So I've got my one piece going through, and then I'm going to crimp it using the magical crimping pliers, which you can find on the Softflex website. The crimp tube, the 2x2 millimeter crimp tube, is going to kind of sit down into that crimping plier, and you'll feel it really like cinch down in there, and then you compress. Your first time you should get what looks like a little 4-corner square, and then you're going to compress in those 4 corners. And we'll just go around and around it, tightening it down. And then that'll give me both my warp and my weft. Of course, one of them's caught inside of, there we go. And then you can just come in and trim off that little bit of extra 014 at the top. You can probably get in much closer than I just did. If you try hard. All right, and then I don't know how long of a thread I need is the difficulty. So let me at least double what I've got here for my weft. Will it work? Nobody knows.
I think it's going to.
I hope so.
I think this is a really fun idea.
Okay, so now I'm going to take my warp threads. Let me pull my weft so it's kind of out of the way. I'm going to pull it way up here. Take my warp threads around, and then I'm going to crimp them on the opposite side to the toggle. So I think the only thing I'd have to play with is getting the exact right length of my Mirrix loom to make sure I'm making a wrap bracelet that's the right size. I'm just going to do the basic smallest length and see what happens. But it may be too small, or it may be too long to wrap around my wrist multiple times. So that's the only tricky thing that I don't know, that I would have to still work on figuring out. Okay,
do you know how tall it is right now with at that size, or you don't know?
I don't know. Well, I guess I could measure it. I don't know if I don't have my tape measure with me right here. Do you know, Elena, how tall it is when it's at its bare minimum size?
I don't off the top of my head.
So I can even make this just a little long so that I can make my tension.
Yeah. What I usually do with the leather wrap ones is I wrap the leather first, and I just look if I'm doing it for myself. And I say, okay,
around your wrist.
That's where I want it, and then I kind of measure from there. But the nice thing about a wrap bracelet is, you know, it can be looser or tighter.
Yeah.
And kind of.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
it's worth trying, and then I can. Oh, I don't know. I'm getting a weird screen. There we go. It can be. What's the word I'm looking for? Made perfect on its own. I can perfect it on its own. We're just going to get the idea down today.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a little bit longer than the amount, and I'm just going to take one of these wires and string it back into the toggle bar, and then back into the crimp.
This is going to be great. I'm so excited. I love this. I'm gonna pitch the live beading ideas to some TV exec.
Okay, well, sign me up.
You'll be the first contestant.
All right, I am gonna crimp. I get my best ideas when I'm talking to other people. I really do. Like, I feel like there's, we get inspired by each other and learn new things. And then how does that apply to something else? And
Absolutely.
I think it's fun to be able to bead together. Yeah. So I'm going to trim off my extra wire on both ends, and let's see if I can then tighten it up to create those warp threads. So connect, and then I would just tighten to the size that I need. Looks like my warp threads are a little twisted too, so I have to untwist. So I'm just rolling these up.
Yep. This is gonna work.
Oh, except for I've got my cord rolling up. Of course. And then I also am a little concerned my wires look like they are a little doubled over. So I'm going to try to single them out here. I may have to.
Adding the tension on the loom, it'll be a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I want to make sure they're straight side by side, though.
Yeah.
So I've got two distinct wires to work off of. All right, let's add more tension.
There you go. That's looking good.
It is.
Thanks everybody for going along with me on this journey.
I'm riveted.
Awesome. Okay, I think I've got my work threads. I might have a little too much tension. Let me loosen a little bit so you can get those separated out, and then you can string your beads on just the way Elena was with her thread, but this time I'm using some soft flex.
That is great.
Cool. I don't know how the 014 will work because that's another kind of test. I haven't used the 014 as much as I have the 010. But I have a few seed beads here. Let's pop
I've
one
used the 014 on a similar, like on that wrap bracelet kind of style that you've done. Just as long as it fits through the beads, you're fine. So,
all right.
Which the seed beads it should.
Yeah, I think it should be okay. So I'm going to just kind of pop the seed bead between the wires and pull it up and see. Oh. This first bead is always the hardest, you guys.
Yeah.
It's always the most difficult to get going.
In position, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do more of a traditional bead looming, I think, where you go over the top of it and then come back under. Okay, so I've got my first bead. Let's see if we can kind of slide it in and then take the wire and go underneath those two wires, but in through the bead. See what happens here.
This is looking so good.
It's all happening.
Yay! Look at it. So now you would take that and you'd go over the top or over the bottom. The next
I can do it a few ways. I don't know that I can fit through this bead again, but I might be able to even go back in again. And that way I have a loop on both sides if I want it to look symmetrical, I guess. It's totally not necessary, but it would give like just a little bit more symmetry to the two sides.
Yeah.
And then I would do the same thing on the next bead. This time I'm above the thread, so I guess I'd probably go below to catch my next bead and just kind of hold it in place. Are you guys seeing this okay?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. How's everybody else seeing it?
And then go over the top.
This is going to be so cute.
Woohoo, it's working.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
And then I can just go through one more time to get, again, that symmetrical side with the loop on each end.
And that's a sort of optional option. You don't have to go back one more time.
No, yeah, totally optional. You could just go through the whole thing. Nobody would probably even think twice about it. And then as you go, this will kind of straighten up. Woohoo! It's working.
Very cool.
Fun. Oh, I hope you finish this. I want to see the...
I'll have to see what happens here if I have enough time to keep going. And then it'll probably be like 2.5 size. So
yeah.
Like I did all that work and I can't even wear it.
So ideally, you would want to measure your wrists and see how many times it goes around, and then you would create your bracelet, your toggle front and back, and then you'd put it onto your loom and do your tension, so you've got it at like the size you're looking for.
Yeah, it just that's a little too finicky to do on live video.
Yeah, no, totally get it.
All that stuff.
I always say I have to do one project first, and then I size it usually the next time, because
that's what I like to do too.
Yeah. Just to get a feel of how it works, and then you can kind of resize it.
And the next time I'll know, oh, did I like that I went through it twice? Do I need to do that? Maybe I don't, and then I can finesse it into a even better project as time goes on.
Right.
So yeah, very cool. I'm so excited. And you know what? At any point, I could even cut this off. If I wanted to just do a single wrap bracelet, I could just cut it off where I want and crimp it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's that option too. This is nicer. I was doing some weaving on a macrame board yesterday. And what's nice about this is that you can go underneath so much more easily. And especially if you were going to try to get underneath the wires and through a bead, that's just not happening on a macrame board. So that's where a loom like this is just so helpful and so much fun to play around with.
And I'll say your tension, I'm sure, is a lot more even on something like that. You're going to be able to really keep that tension the whole way through.
Yeah, these are nice looms, you guys. If you have never seen a Mirrix loom in person, they're really well made, quality looms. And I think you'd really, really like to have it in your tool arsenal for making jewelry. And I'm sure you'll have lots of ideas that Elena
Elena was showing us with the S hooks and the bars that go up around the top and the bottom. And you had that on that one before, but I don't see it on now. So those parts can be taken off.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they're extras. So I just popped off my design. I popped the whole thing off.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And I can finish this off. I made this seriously probably like 5 years ago, and that's why I was like, I'm not going to finish this because I don't even know what I was making at the time. Probably an earring like this, like a big loop. Yes. So I think I had a project like that and maybe beadwork or something. But yeah, you finish it off with a crimp, just like soft flex, because the warp threads are soft flex. So you can take a crimp and crimp both ends and put it together kind of like this earring here.
One of the fun things about our looms is that we've been coming up with accessories for 20-something years. So there's so many different things. They're incredibly versatile, and you can, put the no warp ends kit on, you can take it off, you can weave tapestry on the same loom, you can combine beads and fiber. There are a lot of possibilities, which is fun, especially if you are a person like I'm sure most people watching this who are into a lot of different crafts. A loom allows you to do a lot of things using that one tool.
And it's portable, so you can take it on a road trip. You can take it on an airplane if it's the right size.
I think now TSA might crack down on that a little bit.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
We've heard different stories from different people. I don't do it on carry-on anymore because
you don't want it taken.
Yeah. I'm a rule follower. Although there was one time my mom came to visit me and she accidentally took a pair of crafting shears.
Oh, yeah.
On the airplane?
I mean, it was even longer. Like they were so long. Nobody said anything. She got to me and she was like, the airplane.
I know. It just depends on the day and who's paying attention, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't want your loom to get taken away from you.
No, that would be sad. That would be really sad.
Very sad. Yeah.
I even think that with some of my beading tools, I worry about them. Like, I don't want this taken from me. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I was thinking I haven't gotten to go on a plane in so long. I was thinking on a road trip mostly for traveling. But I thought back to the airplane because I knew you had told us the story about your mom taking it out in the airplane often.
Soccer games, airplanes, road trips.
Got to loom everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Soccer games. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead. No, I want to
I
hear.
was just going to say, my mom used to be a state rep in New Hampshire, and every time you'd see her on TV, she didn't bring a loom with her onto the house floor, but you'd sometimes see like they'd have an important bill, and you'd see her, and she'd always be knitting or crocheting or beading or doing the only one, and everyone else is just.
I find I can think well when I'm making. So I imagine she was able to tap into her listening skills while her hands were busy doing something.
Yeah, they say that with like doodling too. I was always a big doodler when I'm taking notes or listening to someone. And I think that taps into that part of your brain. It kind of keeps that area busy so that you can hear what's being said. It's probably very similar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome that she was a rep. That's really cool.
Yeah.
She's a very neat lady. And so are you, Elena. We're so glad we got to spend some time with you today.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
Thank you for being here with us again. We're going to see Elena again later this summer. We're doing a big customer appreciation week, and she is one of the participants. So we will see a really fun kit and project from Elena for that later this summer. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you too. So don't be a stranger.
I will not. Thank you so much for having me on today. This was great.
And if you want to learn more about Mirrix Looms, what is the website one more time, Elena?
It's mirrixlooms.com.
And then, of course, you can learn more about Softflex at softflexcompany.com. And we will be back Monday with Kristen's Free Spirit Beading. She's on at 2 p.m. Pacific on YouTube and on Facebook. And then next Wednesday is Kit Day. So we'll have our brand new kit available.
Happy Kit Day.
Happy Kit Day. We still have some of the resort chic design kits available. So if you want to grab one today from our website, you'll still have time to have it for reveal day, although it's not necessary because I reveal it, but you bead for the whole month after with it. So you've got time.
Yeah, but if you want to have it in time for the reveal next week, you can still grab it.
Some people like to work with me on the reveal day. So if you're one of those people, you should probably get your kit soon. And then post pictures of your designs after. All right, so we are gonna head out today. Thank you for being here today with us, Elena.
So much fun. I learned so much. Excited about something new.
Yes, we'll get you addicted to looming. And then we'll get you into the tapestry side.
Yeah, I love
really
those tapestries that combine the fiber and the beads and all that stuff too. So there's just so many ways that you can do one, the other, and then together, which is really cool.
I might send Kristen one of my looms.
I know. I didn't even realize you had two.
Yeah, I have two.
That's awesome.
Because you have to have more than one once you have one.
Once you have one, right?
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to end now. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.